So yeah, Super Crew and Red Dread Nation. He's about to read one of the comments that was left from the Arrow.
Yeah, CE Dell 29 says, I enjoyed your reaction, Akasan, in the series finale of Arrow. This was the last episode of Arrow because there is no way they got off that island in time. But thanks to TV logic, season 6 will start off with something like Oliver,
good points,
quoting Deadshot from Suicide, how are you still alive? Felicity says some Felicity high-tech stuff. Curtis backs up her stuff and adds some more of his own. Yeah, I'm gay. My boyfriend. Yeah, there you go. That's my Curtis impression from Arrow. And that's nothing against gay people at all. It's just that's pretty much everyone. Just a reminder, I'm gay, I have a husband. Yeah, okay.
Well, actually not.
Not anymore, yeah. Okay, next. Diggle. There was a trapdoor on the island and we got away in a submarine. Wild Dog. True that, hoss. There's your season 6 plot right there. Red Dread Nation, what's up guys? Akasan here.
Hey Super Crew, DCsan here.
Yeah, that close-up. So, The Flash, season 3 is all said and done. So we're gonna do this in about 10 minutes or more. Recap. I'm thinking or more because it is The Flash.
Yeah.
What did we think, boom, of The Flash?
Dope.
The season could have been better. It could have been better. It definitely was probably the worst Flash season. And it struggled a lot, but it also, I was kind of used to it based upon what happened in season 2. I also felt like season 2 was shaky at times, and if anything, season 2's memory, there really wasn't much. I mean, there were some great moments with Zoom showing up and whooping Barry's ass, but the
which got played by Savatars.
The payoff wasn't really as good as particularly this time around or so. It was kind of cool to see Black Flash introduced in season 2, but we really didn't know what would become of Black Flash at that point yet. So there were points of season 2, but I also felt like season 2 at least had better moments because we were introduced to new concepts like Earth 2 and multiverse and all that. We had a crossover with Supergirl, things like that. Awesome. Where now it was a little harder to fall back on a lot of that with season 3, and it was just like, let's just fuck up time, basically. And technically, season 3's biggest point happened at the end of season 2. Flashpoint, basically. So we all knew Flashpoint was coming, and we were really excited about that. I personally wish they would have played off of Flashpoint a lot longer instead of just one episode in season 3. That's the problem. I think the biggest fault with season 3 is the fact that some of their strongest points and strengths they didn't focus on enough.
Like
Flashpoint. Reverse Flash was in there. Now who's the villain? Now who's the villain? Future Flash was a great concept. The Time Remnant idea. What if a Time Remnant is alive, stays alive?
That was cool.
That was such a cool concept.
The suit was not so cool. I understand why they chose the suit as opposed to why they chose the suit as opposed to how the character itself looks like in the comic books. It doesn't really have that kind of an impact. I do understand the concerns and the complaints about the suit being too bulky.
Right.
And it's like, if something that bulky, how can it be that fast?
Okay.
Now you can offset it by saying you have characters throughout, comic book lore and history on both sides, whether it be DC or Marvel, that are very big and they're fast. Not that fast, but they're pretty quick.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of that it's armor that he built to protect himself from the Speed Force and the things he's doing through time. Okay, I understand that. But it didn't feel like it got used enough.
Right, because I think that was more or less our assumption. Like, I think they kind of mentioned it in the show, like, not really what he does with time or how fast he's running, but I think we kind of came to that conclusion. I think they're
supposed to enhance his speed, but then why is it in the last, 5 episodes, everybody could see him? Was a complaint that I heard a lot.
Yeah.
Now, given maybe he's just to the point where he's so cocky, he knows what's coming, He's like, screw it.
Well, see, and that was
see me now.
And see, that was one
Nothing
of
you can do.
And well, that was the biggest problems also with season 2 as well, where the reveal of season, like for example, Agent McQueen wrote in, he was just like, what happened with this series was season 1 just a fluke, meaning it was just that damn good. And we were talking about off camera, like I actually own the entire season of the Flash. It's something I never actually do. I never buy Blu-rays, and this is the Japanese version, so it costs 3 times more.
Yeah, actually. They're expensive here. So
really
if it's
expensive.
$30 stateside, it's at least 90 here.
But I fucking loved it. I mean, I thought the Flash introduced a great new way of a concept of science and reality and such for television shows, and it really was forensics. It changed a lot, but yeah, it does feel like season 2 and 3 just kind of lacked a bit. But going back to the villain situation is the fact that, like even Zoom I thought was so badass until there was the reveal.
Right.
I still, at this point, when I see early on Savitar as Savitar CG Savitar versus the costume Savitar, it completely feels like 2 different types of characters to me. Even Future Barry, outside the costume, I can kind of see him as something different. It might have just been better in some form or fashion.
Just have him like that.
To have all white, yellow, glowing type Barry or something like that. Instead, when he slows down, then you get to see his face, or he just shakes his face the entire time.
Reverse Flash.
Yeah, like just shakes his face the entire time.
I would have been cool with him being in the black and blue suit. That's in. It's the new 52
that would have been
style.
Cool.
But I think it looks good. It would have been cool given it could have been a production thing, and that's why they chose not to go that direction.
Yeah,
no big deal. But
perhaps
I think for me, he had more as an impact as a character outside the suit than inside.
I agree, because I just saw him as some sort of bestial monster. Like he was
Had
inside
he
of
stepped out and been like that, I was like, okay, that's terrifying, because he's like the size of King Shark in a suit. It was all right, that's boss. But when he comes out as just, little old Barry, it's like, oh. yeah. So that was kind of a hard thing to do, especially when he revealed himself. We only had like 3 or 4 more episodes after that to adjust to that. But I was really digging the concept of Future Barry and this time remnant spared alive. But we didn't have enough time to really dive into that when we were fucking around early on in the season with God knows whatever else was going on. Like, I can't even remember what episodes were going on. Like, it was like about finding out who Alchemy was supposed to be something. Alchemy was an interesting character that kind of got fallen by the wayside. I like the idea of that character granting people their deepest wishes or whatever, and them feeling tied to something or someone. That was cool, because you're dealing with, good versus evil. What would you do in this situation? Would you take that power and abuse it, or use it for good? Whatever. I like that little concept. And then you had like Jesse and Wally West getting together and then trying to use their powers for good. All right, that's cool as a side story. But then after that, it's like, well, now what?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think here's one of the bigger problems is like something that Arrow actually did very well is this. And one of the reasons like I felt like Arrow was so consistent this season because it was always about Prometheus. There was never, I don't think there was ever an episode where they didn't mention Adrian Chase, Prometheus, or something like that. There was always, it was always, look, this is our main fucking focus. We need to stop this guy. You know damn well who I'm talking about, right? Sometimes there would be a side story going on, but it always
led back to
Prometheus being the guy who, like, the black guy from The Walking Dead, Tyrese. He was in it, but Prometheus was always around, like
he was just like,
and that was the problem was with Flash was like, holy shit, who the fuck is this Megatron motherfucker? I'm Savitar. I'm like, yeah. Then 3 more episodes, we never hear of him again, and it's just like, wait, weren't we on this guy? And they did the same thing in season 2 with Zoom, but
they did a little bit better.
It was a little bit better because Zoom was always around at the same time, but only
and
posing
constantly
as
terrorizing people.
But posing as Jay Garrick.
Right.
So he was always still around, and it was like cool. But Savitar was just like, what? Like he would just pop in and out.
Pop in, check on people. Okay, we good?
Yeah.
All right, I'll catch you later. I'm getting to meet.
Exactly.
And he's gone.
Exactly. So I think that was kind of the things, and I'm looking forward to next season not being about speedsters. That's probably the best thing they've announced right now, that it's not going to be about speedsters. And I think
minus like whoever is on Team Flash.
Right, right. And I know the whole idea of like this that Speed Force Lightning thing is going to be
granting people powers.
I hope not, because I really don't want to. I mean, and
I'm okay if they grant people powers as long as it's not always speed. Specifically.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is kind of the trait of the Flash, which is getting kind of redundant here. Is the fact that season 1, the Tachyon device. No, wait.
It's
you know,
basically what
big boom.
What caused Barry to get his powers in the first place.
And everybody get powers, right? Dark magic or dark energy or whatever. Season 2, the epidemic. Barry runs into the sky and shit, the black hole.
Yeah, he basically runs to
and there's little potholes, people from Earth 2 popping up, and people with powers. Earth 2 people started showing up. Number 3 was Flashpoint. So there's always this big epidemic that happens at the end of each season, respectively, except for one, that leads into the next season. So I kind of hope that that's not going to be the story, like all these people are getting hit by the Speed Force and getting powers by the Speed Force, and I
don't mind as long as it's not something to where it's constantly speed, or it's the same type thing for everybody. Like, have a good strong story for that character. Like going back to where it's like, okay, this episode is this character, this episode is this character. They don't always have to be tied to one long storyline, because I feel like sometimes it gets lost.
But here's my bigger problem, is the fact that Flash sometimes deals way too much with spending half the episode explaining what this character's powers is and what their origins are, and then the Flash spends the second part of the episode talking to him instead of fighting him. Talking him down, like, and then they're like,
considering Barry's gone, I could see, you know, the characters that are left over trying to fight them, not really knowing what to do, since it's not Barry. We're dealing with Wally, or Wally and Jesse.
That's true. They might take some nods from the whole idea of Wally West. Comic Wally West not having Barry Allen around to mentor him, but always having
learn things on his own.
Right, and try to do. I hope if Wally West can develop really well, I'd love it. I'd love to see that. I'm pretty sure Barry Allen's going to come back.
I'm hoping. One episode. I don't want it to be an entire season of Wally West.
I don't even think it's going to take
a quarter of a season. I'm okay with, and then go on to someone else.
Okay. Let me see what the Red Nation has to say about
this. Like Cisco coming into his powers and not staying in Star Labs would be kind of cool.
Yeah, maybe. The reverse, no pun intended, says, bro, I feel like the writers listen to the most popular theories I call sloppy writing. I would have to agree with a lot of that too, because I feel like they were distracted somewhere else a lot for the Flash.
Kind of all over the place, especially specifically after Alchemy.
Yeah.
The writing just went in 3 different directions.
Yeah. Diario says, I guess CW shows have a habit of going to shit by the 3rd season. Like that. And he goes off to talk about Arrow. We all know that story. Yeah, you know, maybe.
Well, not always. I think Arrow, for some people, they either liked it or they didn't. And for those that didn't like it, it really affected them.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other CW shows where they have done really well in 3rd season, or in general, it could have actually gotten stronger because we've gotten past the part where we need to build up the character and their storyline, or that's season 1.
Personally,
season 2, from there on, it just starts.
I just feel like, well, we were just talking about season 1. You just go back and you look at season 1, you just feel like everybody is so good and outacts each other. That there's not wasted character development as far as I remember, and there's always this nice driving force to keep you interested in each episode, where I just felt like and you know, a lot of people, like I'm on that side of the fence where HR, like when you spend so much time on HR specifically for a character who we already know the actor does a much better version of another character and another version a season before that we had to waste so much time with something that was clearly not, well, at least for me and a good amount of Flash fans, not fitting in. That shit got really annoying, because what exactly did he do? Like, you know, Like,
yeah.
Sometimes,
I got drumsticks and some coffee.
Sometimes it was funny, but just to be the main, he helped Wally. Yeah, okay, he trained Wally, which is cool. Great. Yeah, I
liked when he focused more on one person as opposed to one thing.
Yeah,
because I thought he did a really good job with Wally, more so than, hey, let me tap on a few things and come up with some half-baked idea for a device you could make.
It was just
because
so
you didn't think about
corny sometimes. Like Fallen Angel X 8X says, very disappointing in the ending. So many ways they could have made it better, and that seems to be the general stasis of what. But this one I did see from Greg, and I'm just paraphrasing here. Story-wise, this season has been the weakest, but not by much. However, this season of Flash has had the best character moments, particularly for Wally, Cisco, Caitlin, Gypsy alone. Too has nearly blown away any other new character introduced on the CW DC show. So, and I wish that this season wasn't a speedster main baddie again. It would have been much better as Dr. Alchemy, maybe rival as his subordinate. And I feel
3 times the Tron.
I'm kind of on that same. When I found out it was gonna be another speedster, even when they showed the rival, I was like, "Who the fuck is this dude?" And I'm glad it disappeared. Right. And then Alchemy was kind of the main focus again. He looked corny, like with the horn thing or whatever, but at least I'm like, okay, we're gonna see the Flash do something a little bit different. Granted, when Savatars showed up, I'm like, another speedster. Holy shit! This is like, oh my god! Like
the reveal was cool.
Yeah.
What he did to Barry throughout town was cool. No one could see him. All right, cool. But then they went so far away from it. It's like,
yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
I think after that, had they revealed that he was the Future Flash, and had him in Future Flash Barry form as opposed to the suit, it would have resonated with me more.
Yeah.
Because his story of like, okay, I have all the memories that you have, all that love you felt and things, da-da-da. It's like, wow, I actually feel bad for the guy. Right. But at the end of the day, I was like, whatever.
And then just wrapping up here, all that being said, I would have to say and reiterate that it's not us. And we were talking about this earlier, looking at some comments and such, and some people were getting upset and unsubscribing to me because I wasn't I didn't just agree with everything in the season finale. But I also think that's the form of a true fan, just like Arrow years ago.
Be objective.
Yeah, to be objective, and you can outright call out bad plot lines. I really did not like the face swapping idea because it was so forced. And to me personally, as a fan, if you can basically guess how the ending is going to be or what the twist is going to be, that's not the greatest writing then.
No, you shouldn't be able to guess right off.
If it was just so force-fed so easily, the fact that it's like, okay, wait, the previous episode they reintroduced this one thing that we saw weeks ago.
Foreshadow.
Yeah, it's kind of like, all right, come on now, like that. So, and I think it's the call of a true fan that sometimes point that stuff out, because only we sometimes as supportive fans, really very, very supportive fans that actually buy the stuff, have that ability to sometimes make changes, and the writers tend to be like, oh shit, maybe they're right about that, you know? So things like that. So I guess
it's one of my favorite cases, actually.
It is. It's so inspirational, that that first season. So I guess that's really what it comes down to, is like, I still enjoyed this season. It's still, would I say it was better than Arrow this season? Not as a whole. I think I enjoyed Arrow more for...
You heard it here, folks.
I enjoyed Arrow more for its connection ability, but I think overall I was more excited still for the Flash. Right. And you made
with the reveals and things.
Well, not even the Savitar thing. Like, if you go back and look at my reactions, like,
everybody's
like, and you're just not going to get that from Arrow for. But you made a really good point about this the other day, or earlier today, is the fact that shows with metahumans and superpowers will always have a bigger pop or a bigger interest than shows with non-humans, with just humans and such.
Anything dealing with supernatural beings, no, even with Batman, because Batman has to fight characters that are both low level up to metahumans, and him trying to figure his way out of it is what draws people into it. But because you have that range, that scope, people are drawn into it. And I think Arrow did better as far as a team when they had at least one metahuman there to deal with problems that go from, you know, your drug dealers and arms dealers up to your, you know, mega threats of a metahuman.
I would love to see a low level. I would love to see the rival on Arrow or something like that, like a low level speedster and shit, or somebody just fucking around like that.
And him having to deal with
no Flash.
But that would be kind of cool. I like that. You know, it's sad to see Ragman go. You know, it is. You know, people like him or you don't. But that type of character being there was interesting because I felt it gave the team more range.
Okay.
Not that that has to be used in everything, but since there's so many people on that show, you could split it up like 3 and 3 or 4 and 4. So you've got Felicity, Mr. Terrific, and Wild Dog. They're over here. They deal with your arms dealers, your local stuff. Arrow, Diggle, and Black Canary deal with your metahumans.
Wrapping up season 4 of The Flash, going into it.
Oh, going into season 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 4 of The Flash, what do you think? Like,
I do think that we'll spend at least 1 to 3, if not 1 to 4 episodes with Team Arrow, Team Flash, we're talking about it so much, dealing with the loss of Barry and where to go from here. So Wally and Cisco training themselves and dealing with local things. And then eventually Barry coming back but being changed from before. Being more cautious of how he deals with time and speed.
Maybe that's the best, like that.
And they can focus more on his job, like forensics and stuff. Because I really liked that in the first season.
And that's another problem, was like a lot of that realism kind of slowly dissipated, especially after Patty left, because she was also forensics.
But I did
like, and then Julian.
Patty was my.
But that was a whole nother deal. That was a whole nother thing. Was Julian also helped bring back some of that forensics world, but when they all left the fucking, I guess they left because they had to film Black Lightning in there instead. A lot of like Flash toward the end of the season just ended up being in 2 places, Jitters and Star Labs, and that was
Which I don't mind if the story can support it.
Right. Well, we'll see. Maybe I don't mind if if it's boring, I'm not gonna like it. But if Barry is stuck in the Speed Force for like 3 or 4 episodes, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want to see like boring ass just Barry just walking around like, this is my old home. Oh, you're not my mom. No, Barry, I'm not. But I'm what? I can change to something else. Yeah. Like, I don't want to deal with fucking more episodes like that.
That would be like not Kevin just boring, Smith but creepy.
Yeah.
That'd be creepy.
Like, I don't want to see that much while Wally and like, oh, Barry, help me, I'm getting my ass whooped, like in the real world.
And he ends up being like a Speed Force ghost giving him some tips.
Yeah, exactly.
Wally, you should do this.
Yes.
You know you.
Barry-Wan Kenobi basically and shit, right? Just counseling Wally through. Oh my God, they might even
Wally Skywalker.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't think they'll go that route though.
Red Red Nation, let us know. Stand up, speak up. Let me know what you guys.
Sorry. One thing we actually forgot to touch base on very quickly. What did you think of Jay being back?
Who? Jay Garrett. Yeah. I thought it was good.
Were you happy?
Oh, it was great.
I was excited with that, and I just love the actor. But him being a mentor to Wally, I can see that because that happens in the books as well.
Well, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. That would be very cool. It was kind of messed up that neither one of them offered to go in the Speed Force for
Barry. They ain't going through that.
His wedding was pending. They're like,
nigga, I ain't going through that shit again.
Did you notice Jay was nowhere to be found when they're doing that?
He's like, nope.
Speed Force is just raining lightning down throughout the city. They're having that really slow, heart-to-heart talk. Understandable, it's for the audience, but still, Jay was nowhere to be found.
He ain't going.
That's just smart. Because it's like he's out helping people down the street.
No, I did see him like in the back in a suit
for a second.
Like for a second, but no, That dude ain't going through that shit again.
He's like, nah, bro.
Nah, I'm good. And Wally was like,
time to stretch my legs.
It's your turn, Barry. You built it. You built it. You sit in that shit and think about what you did like that. So
don't you mess with that time.
We're gonna see what happens, I guess, next season. Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure you subscribe to DCsan. I'll leave a link in the description below. And of course, if you always want to see early access to these videos and much more behind-the-scenes content like this early on, the Patreon. If you want to see me survive till season 4, Patreon. All right, guys, we're out. Peace.
Keep it super. That's so true, though. What? So true.
What?
They were like, nah, man.